Welcome back to the Bo No Show. Here again, we got another great episode. This here consists of personal credit and business credit and how to blend the two. Stay tuned to another good session. Bo No Business, Bo No Credit, Bo No Surviving during the pandemic, Bo No Real Estate Stocks and Bonds with step-by-step we build in 101, Bo No Software and System 2, showing startups and entrepreneurs what to do, Bo No People bringing special guests, Bo No tune into the show for the rest. Welcome back, everyone. I appreciate you staying put. So let's get right into it. First question, out of Colorado, we got a young lady by the name of Tiffany. And of course, I've been getting a lot of questions from a lot of my viewers, so I'm taking individual questions and I'm stating too where you guys are from. So Tiffany out of Colorado, your question was, so Bo, you build personal and business credit. She want to know, how does that work? And that's a good question, by the way. So personal credit and business credit is separate in a sense. Those are pretty much two different entities. You first start by building your personal credit. Some of you may be aware of the term PG. PG basically means personal guarantor. So that individual will guarantor that company. So the key is to start off building your personal credit, whether that's with us or whomever you may choose, and that's challenging those negative, inaccurate, unverifiable items that are located on Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And once you're done building your personal credit, you have the option too of adding trade lines, authorized users, etc. Another term, and that's another discussion. But after that process is done and your credit is in good shape, next you want to work on building your business credit. And building your business credit may be building with different agencies that report data to that particular company. And you want kind of like your personal credit, you want your business to be the same and you want it to stand alone. So that business credit should have some type of business vendors that they have dealt with, or some type of, supplier that may have done business with that particular company. So once you get those different vendors and lenders information reported to your business profile and you blend the two together, that is the first step to building personal and business credit. And thanks, Tiffany. I appreciate you tuning in and also for a wonderful question. Next question coming out of Gabriel from the ATL. How you doing down there? I like Atlanta, one of my favorite cities as well. But Gabriel's question was, what is business credit and how do you build it? That's another good question. And to really break that down, there are over 15 different reporting repositories when it comes to the business credit industry. These particular guys collect data. So the data is collected on you, whether it be data from insurance companies, data from municipalities, police department, wherever the data may come from, stuff you purchasing. These particular companies collect data and they provide that information to the companies that we are aware of, like Equifax, Experian, business side. Now, I'm not speaking on a personal level, that's something different. So Equifax business, Experian business, these are some of the companies that report data on you. So some of that data could be vendors, different vendors you may deal with. Say if you're in a construction company, and your company have the little orange shirts or orange cones or the flares, there are different companies that sell that material that your company can reach out to and become a vendor of their company. And once you become, a vendor of that company, they will report that particular information to your account. Those are like your net 14, net 30 accounts, etc. But back to the question, you build your company with Data Furnisher, and some of the data furnishers out there, which a lot of people have heard of these guys, maybe have not, are companies such as SageStream, Innovis, LexisNexis, Credit Core, Credit Logic. These are different companies that report to the credit repositories, Equifax and Experian Business. TransUnion is not a part of this. You guys didn't hear me mention TransUnion because TransUnion deal with the personal level. Also, banks have different ratings too. So depending on your bank rate, like if you're keeping your deposit amount, from going negative, you're paying your different bills on time that's coming out your account, so they have bank ratings and bank scores too. That information also is provided to the repository. So whenever you're going out there for funding, they look at those different dynamics, what type of data on there, whether it's vendor, lender, and also your bank rating. Great question, Gabriel. Enjoy Atlanta. Thanks a lot. From the ATL question now to the STL. This question comes from Jody out of St. Louis, STL, my city, St. Louis Cardinals. But this particular question is, what is personal trade lines and what is business trade lines? Another good question. Well, business on the trade ends, they're referred to first of all as trade reference. So trade references and trade lines are things that report to your business, which banks look at in the event they trying to, get you approved or accommodate you for some sort of funding. So they will look into your file to see what type of loans, what type of lines, whether it's a credit card, whether it's a, home loan, vehicle. These are different trades. Some of those are considered primary trades and some of those are considered authorized users. And authorized users only apply to the personal side of things, meaning if a wife have a credit card that's 10,000, 5 years old, that wife can put the husband on his card, 10,000, 5 years old. That data will pop up on the husband's credit in the event the husband credit is not like the wife's credit. And now the husband can go out and apply for different things based on him having personal trade lines. And that particular trade line would be referred to as an authorized user. On the business end, they're more like primary accounts. Like I say, from the last question that young lady asked, it's basically the vendors that you have reporting. So if you are doing business with different companies, they will report. A good example is Walmart. Walmart has over 480 something trade references. So you can just imagine the business that they're doing. So they have suppliers that they deal with, and these suppliers might give them things on credit, and not only on credit, but at a deal. So it is very important to take and understand the value of personal trade lines and personal business references. Jody, STL, enjoy. That was a great question, and hopefully I provided you a great answer. This question here is from Mike out of Dallas. Another good question again. Again, I like providing answers to all the people that are watching the Bo Know Show. Thank you guys a lot. His question was, how come I can't just build my business credit and use that versus my personal credit? Well, that's the thing of the past. Before, companies looked at just business profiles, business trades, business reference, how long you've been in business, corporation books, all of that good stuff, depositories, how much deposits you was making, all of that good stuff, which they're still looking at that. But nowadays, due to the fact that so many businesses fail, and I'm going to talk about that because that's a question someone asked too as we get down the line in the show. So stay tuned. But your business credit cannot stand alone on its own unless, again, piggybacking off the last question, you're like Walmart and you have over 480 something trade references. So once you build your business up, then absolutely you can go deal with companies that will only require your business to have XYZ amount of trades, maybe 12, 15, and then you won't need to use your personal credit. And I understand that because some people personal credit sucks, which is why we here. You can kind of build your credit and combine the two. That was another one of the questions. So keep in mind, banks are looking for a personal guarantor. So if these companies start to fall by the wayside, who's going to pick up the slack? Who's going to take over the bills? The company really is fairly new, haven't been doing business in a while, and they're looking for a personal guarantor to kind of bag up that company in the event something go wrong. Before in the past, like I said, banks dealt with companies, but so many companies have filed bankruptcy due to what's been going on with the virus and all of that good stuff, epidemic, the pandemic. It's making their concept a little more challenging, and they got to protect their investments. So the way that they protect their investments is looking for people with good credit. The key for you is to build that data. So if you got a good personal credit score, say a 720, and you got business trade and business trade references, companies you've been doing business with, then that's the way to go. So building it without it, it don't happen until you build it up first. And you're going to need yourself or someone within your company to be a personal guarantor. Mike, Dallas, thank you. That was an awesome question as well. Another great question here from Brian out of Tampa, Florida. Nice weather down there, of course. Brian's question was, how can I see my business credit report and scores? Great question. You can find your business reports, and it depends which one. Again, there are major data furnishers, and I'm going to talk about the major ones. D&B. Some of you have probably heard of Dun& Bradstreet. So dnb.com is where you want to go to get a business report and look at who provide particular vendors. Now, these are vendors only. They don't provide lender data. Vendors are your smaller company, Procter & Gamble, Grail, Seton. These are different vendors that report. I talked about that in another question. So dnb.com would be a place to go to get a report and score. Their score is called the Paydex. You know, it's a lot of information here, so just try to follow along with me. And then you also have Equifax. Equifax reports business reports and scores too. They have different dynamics and different programs that break down score, financial risk score, stress score. So you can go to equifax.com/business and they will provide a business report for you. Another big company that provide business data is Experian.com/business. And they too are kind of like their counterparts or rival Equifax, and they provide business reports for different businesses that lenders report to. And they also provide scores too, and they look at different risks and different factors there. So those are some of the places you can go to look at your business data and scores. And again, these are 3 different repositories. They report differently. They got different programs and different services that they offer you, but that's a way to kind of determine what's on your business file and what's there. So Brian out of Tampa, thanks again. Hopefully I gave you the best available answer to your question. This question comes from Miss Kenitra out of St. Charles, Missouri. Her question is, how can you get and use business funding? There's another awesome question. Well, here at Bo Knows Credit and Business, what we do, we have a team of experts that specialize in research in that particular field. So some of these companies that pull, and I mentioned the data furnishers, Equifax, Experian, Dun & Bradstreet. There's also PayNet, which was bought out by Equifax. So these different data furnisher companies, it's key to know, whom these banks are using, because some of the information that your company is building, the suppliers that you have on your, trades, like your trades, your vendor trades or your lender trades, you want to know what bank is pulling from them. So our team of experts, we exercise the due diligence and the research to find, different companies to know where they're pulling from. So that way, when you're building your business credit, say for an example, Equifax Business, you got companies that report to Equifax Business, right? Say if you've done some type of business, you're in the t-shirt company, you developing shirts and hoodies and all of that. And you deal with a particular vendor, and that vendor reports to Equifax. So now when you apply for, say, a bank loan, your bank can see, okay, you've been doing business with this particular manufacturer for shirts and stitching, letters, whatever it may be, even equipment. They can report all of that stuff. Keep in mind, guys, like a lot of stuff can be reported. So when these companies are reporting that data, that information you can use when you're applying for a bank loan. So that information we track to see who report where do they report, what are they looking for, like what type of scores, how many trade references, all of those are key factors. So those are typical ways of getting funded. There are other criteria too, meaning how long you've been in business. They want to see some history there, what type of deposits you have, different forms, documents, etc. that is needed. But just to kind of give you the good answer to your question, the best way to get funded is to just have that data intact and then know where to go. Like if you know they're pulling your Equifax or Dun & Bradstreet, then you can look prior to them pulling it and see how you look and where you are. And with that being said, Miss Kenitra, I appreciate that question, and hopefully I provided a very wonderful answer. Last but not least, now this particular question came from all over. A lot of our watchers and viewers had this question, and it's a very good question to ask, which is why we have so many people ask it. And that question was, why do businesses fail? And that's a very, very good question. First of all, as you see, we are in business, and look what we're doing. We're marketing. You got to market. It takes a lot these days. You got a lot of competition, a lot of things you can put out there. It's a lot of ways people got to verify you, all of that matters. But let me get into the actual answers to these questions. One is lack of management. So if you have a company, your company is just as good as you. If you're the good team player and you don't have good management, then that's a problem. Another problem is you are the business owner or the CEO, and instead of letting other people do their job, I would say, I done experienced this in business, trying to control every aspect of the business, not being able to do yours. That's actually lacking management on the owner part, because you're not allowing people to manage their own department. In order to succeed, you got to fail. So how do we know what success is if we're not failing? Also, competition. There's a lot of competition out there. And the key is to just set yourself apart. You have to stand out. You have to stick out. You have to be honest. You got to have some type of integrity as a company. Years in business, proof of work, testimonials. You got to step out there when there's a lot of competition. You can't just post a couple pictures on social media and expect for your phone to ring. I done that years ago when I was in business, when newspapers were the thing. I put a couple articles out and I'm like, okay, I'm finna put my number out there, 800 number, I repair credit. This had to be a while ago, literally, because I've been doing this for over 20 years. And we put that information out there and sat by there and the phone didn't ring at all. I was like, wow. So it was a shocker to me, but I learned it's just not about, putting that information out there and expecting people to call, because there's a lot of competition. Stress on employees and owners. That's what kind of the first question, lack of management. You got to have a good team. If you have a team of people and they're not able to do their job efficiently, or they worrying about the owner, how the owner may think, how he may act, all of that, get them a little leeway and room to kind of do their job and sit back and see what your employees are capable of doing and leave the stress off of those guys. No or little funding. That's another solution. A lot of people fail in business because they don't have the funding to produce other team members, say employees, people to take the work off their shoulder. The owners having a load of things to do. You can't buy more product. You can't buy more merchandise. That's the reason why business credit and personal credit is so important, guys. This is phenomenal information that I'm providing you with, and you can really use this to your advantage. So not having funding or little or no funding, you can't grow. You can't go. That's another issue. Lack of vision. Some people start off a company and they don't evolve with the technology. Technology is ever changing. So you have to get out there. You got to have a vision behind your concept, and that vision got to grow with what's going on around you. Things are evolving. We are evolving with our state of mind. So your company has to evolve too. You got to keep up with the time. You got to make it technical, and you got to appeal to the youth. The youth are growing up fast, so we have to keep that vision alive. Poor financial planning. You have to have a plan. You have to lay out what your goals are, what your expectations are, what time frame you plan on doing that. These are all important things. So financial planning is another reason some companies fall short and fail. Not knowing the market and not using technology to your advantage. This is another great answer, and I mentioned it earlier. Kind of look at what we're doing here. This is using, technology, using marketing, videography, videos, and different things like that to get that information out there. When I've been in business and when I was in business, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have, all the different social media platforms, but it's wonderful to have that, and it's wonderful to use. So not knowing your market, getting into business, not understanding what it consists of, what it do. You driving these trucks, not knowing that, hey, I need good employees. I need to make sure my contracts are filled. This driver get from point A to point B in a considerable amount of time, or otherwise you're going to lose your contract. Those are things that you need to know. So whatever business you are in, make sure you know your market. And if anything you don't know, tune in to Bo Knows, because what I don't know, somebody else do. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy. And until next time, Bo Knows Who Knows. Thanks a lot. Bo know business, Bo know credit, Bo know surviving during the pandemic. Bo know real estate, stocks, and bonds. With step-by-step, we building 101. Bo know software and systems too, showing startups and entrepreneurs what to do. Bo know people bringing special guests. Bo know tune into the show for the rest.